Yo, what's going on with it, y'all? Y'all already know. You ain't gotta guess who it is. You already know. It's Guess Who the Rapper, aka Guess Who the Illuminator. Here to illuminate your brain with some of this glorious and incredible game. Once again, man. And yo, you already know how it go. You like yourself? Hit that like button. You like someone else? Hit that share button. But if you love yourself, hit that subscribe button. And if you want to be certified to be notified, by getting the notifications when the video drop, hit that notification button by hitting that bell button. All right, let's begin. Yo, I'm sitting here, you know, thinking about a past conversation that I have with a few ex-friends of mine. And I could remember back in 2020 and me having conversations about politics and about the president and about Donald Trump versus Kamala Harris and things of that nature, and Joe Biden and all that, those type of conversations. And I remember telling them that, yeah, I agree with some of the policies that Trump was proposing or proposed, like the First Step Act. I didn't read the whole act, but from what it was described, it was, dealing with people coming out of prison, and helping them get back on their feet and giving them jobs or opportunities or maybe small business loans, whatever that was in the First Step Act. I was in agreement with the policy, but I made it emphatically clear, very clear, that I will not vote for no politician. I don't trust no politician at all. And I never voted a day in my life, period. Why? Because I've been studying things such as, what people will call conspiracy theories since I was 7 years old. And a lot of it comes from the books that my mother had when I was younger, based upon the end time scenario written in the book of Revelation in the Bible. So therefore, because I'm a Bible believer, I was like, a lot of these things that they said that was going to happen in the end time was beginning to manifest itself. That led me to different type of books. The Day the Dollar Dies, The Mark of the Beast. Salem Kerbin had a book that I ran into called Satan Angels Exposed. My mother had that book. My mother had 1,000 points of blue light. Now, while they thought I was back there playing G.I. Joe, I was reading these books. And then later on, when I met my man DJ Slim, shout out to DJ Slim, yo, you need to get back on that music, man. Get that MPC going, bro. Unpack that thing, man. But yeah, Slim, he turned me on to Lance Collins, aka Johnny Todd, who was a part of the 13 Council of the Illuminati. He was part of the 13 Council, and he was part of the family of the Collins family that brought witchcraft to America. You know how long ago I've known that? Then I ran into my man June B, a producer, a hip hop producer, one of the dopest. He was be compared to like a DJ Premier or Pete Rock. He was our version, of that. He turned me on to Iron Mountain, the Blueprint for Tyranny documentary. It was a video documentary. And then, before then, a lot of us was already aware of Bill Cooper's book, Behold the Pale Horse. I used to write rhymes concerning some of his information, like Silent weapons for quiet wars. So as I'm sitting here thinking, you know what I'm saying, about what's going on in today's era in 2026, and how people are choosing up between candidates like Kamala Harris was the recent one, and Donald Trump, and why I never voted. I told them I don't trust politicians, and here I am back in the illuminator bag, you know what I'm saying, dealing with topics such as this, where I can enlighten y'all on why I never vote, why I do not support voting if Jesus Christ or Yeshua HaMashiach, the Black Messiah, is not in office. I'm not casting my lot. I'm not casting my lot to vote for no politician. Why? Let's get into it right now. But before we get into it, I want to highlight something that's a phenomenon that's taking place for the people who did vote. People who did vote for Trump, and now they're experiencing the disappointment that everybody always experienced that ever voted in their life, because these politicians always come and promise you something every 4 years. They promise you something, and they always come up short, and you end up with broken promises. You understand what I'm saying? So now we're gonna get into why they are feeling the the repercussion, and it's called MAGA fatigue, make America great again fatigue, or Trump and MAGA fatigue. So let's get into it.
We used to say we're not in the cult, the outside world is the cult, and we're not the. We used to say we're not in the cult, the outside world is the cult, and we're not the crazies, the outside world are the crazies.
They made me watch a documentary on January 6th, and I didn't even know what happened on January 6th prior to the PBS documentary. And I looked at him and I said, Scott, did that really happen? And he was like, where have you been? It's so hard for people, because I said, it's not that you're dumb, you were fooled. That's incredibly hard to admit.
We are in the United States of algorithms right now, and MAGA media is very efficacious, it's very effective, and it's very disciplined.
No. You're not fooled, you're just dumb. They're blaming algorithms. You weren't fooled, you just didn't think it would affect you. I'm glad that some people are recognizing that this is foolishness. You can't say that the algorithm or the magnification is causing you to do this when you have a flipping brain and Google is free. I find this lack of awareness extremely disingenuous, because supporting something so hard and then saying I had no idea this or that happened, it's just extremely difficult to accept. Accountability is not the realization that you were fooled. It's unpacking what fooled you and why.
Don't you hear he's up 20 hours a day? He doesn't ever sleep. But I do think...
Let me pause it there real quick. As you can hear what's going on, they're experiencing MAGA fatigue, and they're blaming the algorithm, and they're blaming everything except what's really going on. That they're really experiencing a whole bunch of broken promises. You know what I'm saying? And my man Oso Fresno is like, look, y'all, there's Google out here. We're in the age of information. We're in the information age. You just didn't want to accept that these things can happen to you. You know what I'm saying? And who is he primarily talking about? You know what I mean? When they saying make America great again, they were talking to white people. And white people, joined on and voted, actually voted. After experiencing, a lot of them was tired of the Democratic Party. Even our people have been recently been making a mass exodus from the Democratic Party, because we're finding out that's the party of the Ku Klux Klan. Guess who knew that for the longest? Me. That's who. I've known that since the 90s. I've known that since the 90s. You know what I mean? So they're now, white people are feeling the brunt, of the economy going down, and the middle class is being affected by these high gas prices. The food has gone up, the cost of living has gone up, and it's affecting them. And now this war with Iran has appeared, and Trump made a promise that he would keep not us, them out of war. You know what I'm saying? Because that, I don't say our government. I've never said that. I don't say our army, our navy. You know what I mean? Because Malcolm X taught me not to say that. Imagine a Negro, especially if you're a nigger, you know what I'm saying? Or a Negro, I should say. He said it's just like this, verbatim, and I quote, imagine a Negro, our government. He even heard one say, our astronauts. They won't even let him near the plant. In our government, our Navy. That's a Negro that's out of his mind. That's a Negro that's out of his mind. So these really primarily are white people, feeling the effects of this economy falling. And now they're experiencing a bit of Trump and MAGA fatigue. Let's go.
Something so hard, and then saying I had no idea this or that happened. It's just extremely difficult to accept. Accountability is not the realization that you're fooled. It's unpacking what fooled you and why.
Don't you hear he's up 20 hours a day? He doesn't ever sleep.
But I do think he sleeps because we watch it on television.
No, you watch them freeze frame the camera when he blinks his eyes.
Okay. I mean, there's some of those are long camera phrases. No.
Rest in his eyes.
Helping taking out the trash. And who's the trash? The Democratic Party. Democratic Party? Democratic Party of trash? Yep. And what were your thoughts on Joe Biden calling some of Trump's supporters trash? Garbage.
It's a terrible thing to say, especially since we're all American, we're all one people, so very terrible thing to say.
Which party flies the Confederate flag today?
A lot of the Democrats.
You really think Democrats fly the Confederate flag?
There's Democrats that, yes.
Overwhelmingly, you'll see a Confederate flag right next to a Trump flag. That's just how it works
No,
nowadays.
I haven't seen that overwhelmingly.
Elon Musk just became the world's first trillionaire. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, he's a man, He's a man.
Yeah.
He did a great job, so,
You gotta respect him.
respect him. Yep.
And how much is $1 trillion? How many millions is $1 trillion?
That's a lot. It's a lot.
Is there anything he did that you didn't like when he was president?
The big thing you hear from people is the tweets. If he was to just shut up and stop tweeting, okay? I personally love them. Like, he would tweet, and I know, oh, watch this. They're all going to go nuts on NBC, and they're all going to start going crazy. Like, me personally, like, I enjoyed that. It was fun.
These guys enjoy Trump being a social media influencer than running the country. They enjoy all of these antics that he's doing and everything that he's saying without any repercussions, and that really just gets them going. They probably beat to it in the house when they get home. Yo, what's wrong with the second guy? Is he okay? And the last dude who was asked about Elon Musk, wasn't Elon supposed to get rid of corruption through Doge? But somehow, no one was prosecuted or charged, and he happened to get all of the contracts and now is the trillionaire. So, where was the corruption this whole time?
That's very frustrating.
Let me stop right there. If you notice that the Trump supporters are caught up in the celebrity of Trump. They're caught up in the personality rather than the policies of Trump. They're caught up in what he's doing, and he's tweeting and all of this nonsense that ain't got nothing to do with policies that he's passing, executive orders that he's passing. And then you have another businessman of Elon Musk becoming the first trillionaire that was down with Trump. You know what I mean? Now he's becoming the first trillionaire, taking the contracts away from the middle class. When and what he gonna do with the trillion dollars? Is he gonna help, feed the homeless? Is he gonna put that back into the account? No, he's not gonna do that. So but if you notice, they're all excited about who he is, Trump is, and and what he's doing on a day-to-day basis, and they're not paying attention to what is actually important. Like the brother said, they're more engaged in him being a social media influencer than running the country. You know what I'm saying? They're more interested in that. Popularity, celebrity. You know, Trump was not only a businessman, but he's a celebrity. He had a TV show, you know what I mean, before. So look at what they're caught up into. And you know what I mean? No, not me. I'm not going. The ING in the word going stands for I'm not going. I'm not caught up in his celebrity. I'm caught up in his policies. What bills are they passing? And we're gonna get into bills and these so-called laws that they're passing, and what the effects of them passing these laws have on the masses. Come on.
Corruption through Doge, but somehow no one was prosecuted or charged, and he happened to get all of the contracts and now is the trillionaire. So where was the corruption this whole time?
That's very...
Oh, I had to stop it from there, because y'all remember that Elon Musk promised to get rid of the corruption through Doge, but no prosecutions, no nothing. Yet he was able to accumulate off of that and get all the contracts to become this first trillionaire. And first of all, he's not the first trillionaire. That's just what they put out to the public. He's nowhere near as rich as the Rothschild family, the Rothschilds family. They've been having trillions of dollars for years. He's not the richest man on earth, nor is he the first trillionaire. He's the first trillionaire that they want you to know about. But if you know, you've been studying like I've been studying, you know what I mean, and you're an illuminator like me, you will already know he is not no first trillionaire. You know what I'm saying? Come on.
Corruption through Doge, but somehow no one was prosecuted or charged, and he happened to get all of the contracts and now is the trillionaire. So where was the corruption this whole time?
That's very frustrating to actually hear that. And like I said, I don't do the politics and stuff, but to hear that come from another American that, you know, is not getting $2 million put in their pocket. $2 billion, $2 million, $2 trillion, you know, that's a lot of money. You know, that's a lot of money, and that would help out a lot of people around here. A lot of homeless people. You could open shelters. You could really help somebody out with that.
Somebody's making money on the side. It's not me. That's all I got to say.
Is it frustrating?
It's frustrating that you see your president getting richer and richer, and the middle class is getting poorer. That's about it.
Life in America right now, the economy's tough. People are struggling, you know. And hopefully it'll change.
He definitely made lots of promises, and he made them seem like they were going to come a lot quicker, faster than they actually were to ever come or ever will come. Like 90% of all the elections in the past, you know, the candidates, they promised the moon and fall short at the end of the day. But I mean, I don't think it was the Donald Trump that we saw in 2016, and I don't think that he can make up for it in what's left of his current term.
They hate us, but they cannot live.
Did y'all hear what the last brother just said? He's saying like, see, you know what's funny? Most people are aware that politicians run the same game every 4 years. They always promising something, and they never deliver. They always, promising something, they never deliver. They already know this. Yet, how is it that they're caught up and still voting? How do you do that? You already know that they're not going to deliver on their promises. You already know that. So why are you still playing the game of voting? You know what I mean? You're still going for the horse and pony show, the smoke and mirrors. Why are you doing that? You haven't woken up yet? And this is the reason why, they keep playing that game with you. Vote for this one. It's like divide and conquer. It's like the Crips and the Bloods. You know what I mean? You notice that there is blue versus red. Blue states versus red states. Man, that's the Crips and Bloods. That's where the Crips and Bloods got it from. As above, so below, man. That descended from the top, from the elite. You know what I mean? But one thing I like about the Most High, the Heavenly Father, is whatever the elite is up to, he always inform or warn his elect, or reveal what the elite is doing to his very elect. He always does that. But do y'all notice how they saying, like, he promised to do this and he didn't deliver, and just like 99% of the politicians do. They all promise something and never deliver. Why are you casting your lots, like they say in the Bible? But as I was saying, why are you voting then? Why you keep going for it? You got to wake up sooner or later. You need to be illuminated. You need to be enlightened. You need to be informed. You got to have the spirit of discernment, or someone with the gift of the spirit of discernment. People like me, there's a lot of us out here that's not going for the game. The ING on my PIMP stands for I'm not going. Send the chick. She can send her to go get it. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not going. I'm not going for that. You know what I mean? Let's continue.
I don't think it was the Donald Trump that we saw in 2016, and I don't think that he can make up for it in what's left of his current term.
They hate us, but they cannot live without us. As many of you know, this is Marjorie Taylor Greene, and she has been one of Trump's closest allies over the past few years. And Marjorie Taylor Greene recently went to Mexico for stem cell therapy because healthcare in the United States is too expensive. I'm sure you can see the irony in all of this. Now you see, Marjorie Taylor Greene has spent the last several years demonizing Mexico and Mexicans. From straight up calling Mexicans invaders and Mexico an invasive country, to advocating for military strikes in Mexico, to pushing for the name change of Gulf of Mexico to Gulf of America, among other things. The point is, this woman does not like Mexico or Mexicans. So why on earth would she go to Mexico, you may be asking? Well, according to Marjorie herself, she does not have healthcare in the US, saying on a recent post that she is 52 and does not have health insurance. And that is why she went to Mexico for stem cell therapy. Like I always say, they hate our country, they hate us, but they love our food, they love our hospitality, they love stealing our traditions, and in my opinion, I do not believe that these people should be let into Mexico, let alone get treated in Mexico. But anyways.
All of these people are hypocrites. They all say one thing and they'll do another. Damn, meanwhile I feel tempted to leave the US to go to Canada. I mean, you should. Great people, great weather, universal health care. You can't go wrong. She was pro-MAGA but has fully left the cult. She's changing her position on a lot of things. I think it's good to let her speak to the base to hopefully change some more minds. What? There's too much damage been done. You have 2 to 3 time Trump voters out here still delulu about what's going on and are still supporting him to this day. Yes, there might be some people who might rock with her and follow her through, but generally speaking, I don't know if those are even the type of people we want on our side, because they can't really even think for themselves. They hate us but want to be part of the tradition and culture. Make it make sense. Trust me, the people who speak the loudest against all of this are usually the people who support it behind closed doors.
Things MAGA people say when they don't want you to know they're MAGA. Number 1.
Y'all noticed that this Marjorie lady was a big proponent and a huge supporter of Trump, denigrating Mexicans, calling them invaders. Imagine that. Imagine a white woman calling a Mexican an invader. Can you imagine that? She's calling the Mexican an invader when the Mexicans were here long before she was. They are the invaders. They are invaded the lands where Mexicans occupied. Texas and all that, that was under the Mexicans. And part of our people that were here. Because there's a little bit of discrepancy going on between these so-called Native Americans, Hispanics, and black people, Negroes that were here. Because yes, some of us were brought through over from Africa, from the transatlantic slave trade, but there's information that's suggesting that we were here already. There's a lot of us that was already here. So miss me with, you know, that they are just the Native Americans and not us. But that's another video, okay? But right now, can you imagine her calling a Mexican an invader? And because the economy is so bad and the middle class is being wiped out under this administration, all of the administration anyway, but especially under this one now, she gotta go to Mexico to get stem cell therapy because she doesn't have any health care in the United States. Yo, it's starting to affect white people, and they're the ones experiencing MAGA fatigue. Me, no. I don't got no MAGA fatigue because I was never on the MAGA train. I was never on the Obama train, Kamala train, Joe Biden train, Democratic Party, all of that. I was never down with any of that. So let's continue.
But want to be part of the on our side because they can't really even think for themselves. They hate us but want to be part of the tradition and culture. Make it make sense. Trust me, the people who speak the loudest against all of this are usually the people who support it behind closed doors.
Things MAGA people say when they don't want you to know they're MAGA. Number one, both sides are bad. This is how they absolve themselves of any guilt for making the worst possible choice. They rationalize it in their own brain that no matter who they voted for, the same things would have been happening. Number two, I didn't vote for this. They emphasize this, hoping that you'll think they didn't vote for Trump. They voted for Trump, they just didn't think it would affect them. Number three, I'm not MAGA. They've decided to redefine what MAGA means so that it doesn't include them, but they definitely voted for Trump 3 times. Number four, I'm a centrist, or I'm in the middle. That means that they are one notch to the left from fascist death cult, but still to the right from the Democrats, who are also a right-wing party. America has no left-wing party. Number five, I don't like to talk about politics. Yeah, I wouldn't like to talk about politics either if my political opinion meant that I was a total piece of shit. Number six, you cut somebody off because of politics? Yeah, you couldn't imagine cutting somebody off because of politics, because people who do not have your political opinions are mostly good people. People who have your political opinions, total pieces of shit. Number seven, why can't we all just get along? Because fuck you, that's why. Now, of course, you're going to have your knuckle-dragging, mouth-breathing, out loud and proud MAGA supporter who's happy to say it with their chest and wear the mark of the beast on their forehead. We're not talking about you. You're not smart enough to know how ashamed you should be. We're talking about the people who are smart enough to know how ashamed they should be of themselves. They're trying to hide it, and they're not very good at it.
I just dropped a former Trump supporter. He said he voted for Donald Trump 3 times. Now he wants Donald Trump to be gone as soon as possible. This guy happened to be a restaurant owner in Williamsburg, Brooklyn. This is a very expensive area, and I think around here is super expensive. He said his restaurant doesn't make money at all because of inflation. In my opinion, he deserves it. I don't know what the fuck he was thinking. Think about it. The president of the United States says, oh, we're gonna impose tariffs on everything. I don't know, you're no economist, but I do know that imposing tariffs would hurt us. Very stupid thing to do. We can use tariffs strategically, but by and large, Tariffs do not help anybody. That's a simple fact. Anyway, hates Donald Trump. Another thing is, he said his uncle warned them. Apparently, his uncle was scammed by Donald Trump in 80s. His uncle sued Donald Trump and successfully from Donald Trump. But his uncle clearly told him, do not vote for this guy. And yet he voted for Donald Trump, and he's getting burned. I still feel sorry. Like I said, he deserved this, but I don't want anybody to get hurt. It's stupid. I don't think that he has a bad intention, so I still feel bad.
You might feel bad, but we don't. This man had his uncle tell him, and he still fell for the okie doke. Please tell me the name of the restaurant to make sure my friends and family don't step foot in there.
Kansas.
Hold on. So, as you can see, you know, the Asian guy, he doesn't look like my friend Henry, but shout out to my friend Henry, man. I met in San Francisco, my man Henry. Shout out to you, brother. Much love. But you see, his friend voted for Trump 3 times. He voted for him 3 times, and he owns a restaurant in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, where it's been gentrification went on, or gentrified there in Williamsburg, Brooklyn. That used to be like black, but now now it's more like a rich area, and they moved the black people out. But now he voted for Trump 3 times, and now he's feeling the repercussion of that, you know, that decision. And he was warned not to do that because his uncle sued Donald Trump and won. And he warned him. He said, "Do not vote for that guy. Do not vote for him." You know what I'm saying? And he did it anyway. So the Asian guy's like, "Look, man, you know, I feel bad for you, but you deserved it." And you hear what the brother said, you know what I mean? The brother was like, "Hey, I don't feel bad for you at all." You know what I'm saying? And on top of that, let us know let us know where his restaurant is in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, so we don't ever step foot in there. You know what I'm saying? Now, I want to transition, right? I'm gonna tell you what I discerned eons ago when this movie came out. I'm about to give you an excerpt or a clip from this movie called Casino. Casino reveal a lot of things about what's going on in the world if you have the discernment to see it. If you can see what was really going on in this movie, I suggest y'all all go and watch the movie Casino. I think it's a Martin Scorsese film. It has Robert De Niro, Joe Pesci, Sharon Stone. It got all type of good actors and actresses in that movie. And it's very Don Rickles, even funny Don Rickles is in it. But it's very good movie. It'll explain when you watch it, finally watch it, look out for how they destroyed the Tangiers Hotel. And tell me that won't remind you of a situation. I ain't gonna say it, but you know what I mean? But I wanted to highlight something that they did in this movie to explain why, and it's going to further explain why I don't vote, period, and why it don't make sense to vote. So, fair use. Let's go.
Attention. So I still feel bad.
You might feel bad, but we don't. This man had his uncle tell him, and he still fell for the okie doke. Please tell me the name of the restaurant to make sure my friends and family don't step foot in there.
Right to Kansas City, which was as close to Las Vegas as the Midwest bosses could go without getting themselves arrested. That suitcase was all the bosses ever wanted, and they wanted it every month. Now this old Mormon fuck here, he had to fly in with suitcases once a month, nice and easy. The bosses would come from all over the place, Detroit, Cleveland, Milwaukee, all over the Midwest. And they would meet in the back of this produce market in Kansas City. I mean, nobody even knew. One of the guys made his mother do all the cooking. Shit, I got Jewish too, you know? Now, these old greaseballs might not look it, but believe me, these are the guys who secretly control Las Vegas. Because they control the Teamsters Union. And that's where you had to go if you wanted to borrow money to buy a casino. And nobody got a Teamsters loan unless the guys in this room knew they were going to get their little suitcases. Guys like this antique over here out of Detroit. Or especially guys like Remo Gadget, the outfit's top boss.
Got a round figure?
Definitely the most important guy in this room.
About 20 pounds. So? That's around 700 pounds. I know it's a little early for Las Vegas, but I do want to welcome the ladies and gentlemen of the gaming industry.
As far as the world was concerned, Andy Stone, the head of the Teamsters Pension Fund, was a legitimate guy.
Very auspicious occasion.
A powerful man.
Philip, if you would rise.
He even played golf with the president.
On behalf of the Teamsters Pension Fund, my pleasure to present you.
But Andy also took orders. And when he was told to give a pension fund loan to Philip Green,
for $62,700,000 for the new 10 years.
He did what he was told.
And here was the perfect front man. I mean, what the fuck else could he be? He didn't know too much. He didn't want to know too much. Especially that the bosses made the Teamsters lend him the money. He wanted to believe the Teamsters gave him all that fucking money because he was smart.
I say that knowing full well just how much competition we had in this great city.
And where they got Green from? Who the fuck knows? All I know is that Green was an Arizona real estate hustler who barely had enough gas money to come and pick up his own fucking check. And of course it was the boss's man, Andy Stone, who gave all the orders. Not the chairman of the fucking board, Philip Green. Now all they needed was somebody they could trust to run the casino. And who better than Ace? I mean, he was already in Vegas a couple of years and he had the fucking place clocked.
Did y'all hear that? Did you really hear that? The people that were running the Tangiers Hotel in Las Vegas were the ones that gave the Teamsters they owned the Teamsters, and the Teamsters is the one that loaned Philip Green, or told Andy Stone, who takes orders from the Teamsters, who take orders from the Midwest crime bosses, to give Philip Green a loan to build and establish the Tangiers Hotel, when Andy Stone told Philip Green what to do. Did y'all notice he was signing off things? Philip Green? Let's watch that part again. He was signing off things. Policies maybe. Rules and regulations maybe. He's signing off. And they like, where they even get Philip Green from? He was just a real estate hustler. He didn't even have enough money to come pick up his check. You know what I'm saying? So he was basically a nobody. He's just a face, a front man. A front man. He's the president of the Tangiers Hotel, who got his money from the Teamsters, who over that was Andy Stone, and Andy Stone took orders. But it was really Andy Stone running the business, and but Sam Rothstein was the one who was running the day-to-day. But the front, but the real owners, the real ones who was running it, was the Midwest crime bosses. You never hear about them, you never see them. They're meeting up in the back of a produce market, getting their monthly cut, skimming off the top, evading tax evasion and all of that, getting every month, getting their money. Sound like something familiar? because they're in bed with each other, they're getting money. You know what I'm saying? Andy Stone's getting money, Philip Green's getting money, Sam Rothstein is running the show, the day-to-day operations. Elon Musk down with Trump. Now all of a sudden he's a trillionaire. But who's the front man? Trump is the front man. And who's signing off policies? Trump is signing these executive orders. But who's drafting the executive orders? The handlers that are handling Trump. The handlers that are handling Trump. And if you've done your research prior to this, you would know that that's the international banking cartels or banking companies, the gangster banksters, like some of them call them. You would say they're people from the Council on Foreign Relations, the Trilateralists, the Trilateral Commission, or the Bilderberg Group, who are drafting policies. And who are they really? Different storefronts or the Illuminati under different names. CFR has been rumored to be the Illuminati branch of the United States. All of them. And who's running that? There are bloodline families tied to that. The 13 bloodlines of the Illuminati. They're behind that. And at the chief of the Illuminati, which is financed, is supposedly, allegedly, the Rothschild family. So when you talk about Trump, and y'all all caught up in the celebrity of Trump, he's just like Philip Green. He has no power to do nothing. Yet you still voted for him. And you know the politicians. Every 4 years break their promises. They promise you something and then they break it. But the policies that he's in, these executive orders that he's signing off, let's see if they're really, y'all call them laws. Let's see what the president really is, what his seat of authority really is. Because the Midwest crime bosses were running the show. The Tangiers was a casino. That's what the movie is called. And the casino is a corporation. So when he was signing off those papers, he's signing off rules and regulations that governs the casino. Watch this.
It was the boss's man, Andy Stone, who gave all the orders, not the chairman of the fucking board, Philip Green. I understand. Now all they needed was somebody they could trust to run the casino. And who better than Ace? I mean, he was already in Vegas a couple of years and he had the fucking place clocked. Now.
Hold on. I didn't mean to stop it, but we're going to get into what you would call this company, the Tangiers company, or the comparison between a company, corporation, and government, so-called government, and the policies that they're writing, or the so-called laws that they're writing. Let's go.
Now all they needed was somebody they could trust to run the casino. And who better than Ace? I mean, he was already in Vegas a couple of years and he had the fucking place clocked.
Now, who can use law? Law can only be used by people who are in their sovereign capacity. And as I will share with you tonight, the majority of the people in the world, and I'm not going to get into all of the details about that, but the majority of the people in the world, 99% of them live in slavery today. So in 1863, via the Emancipation Proclamation, and I challenge you to go look in a law dictionary and look up the definition of emancipation and proclamation, and you will see that a proclamation is not a law. A proclamation is a public announcement by elected officials. It is not a law. So the Emancipation Proclamation of 1863 did not set any slaves free. What it did was standardize slavery, the United States being the model for the standardization of slavery, that all of the other nations around the world, as they reduced their people from their sovereign capacity and forced them to join nation states, then they were able to issue statute, codes, ordinances, resolutions on them. And a statute, as in a state statute of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, is not a law. It is corporate policy.
I know you heard that. Hey, I need to make a Hustle Valley t-shirt and saying, or illuminated t-shirt saying, did you hear that? Let me break down what she just said, in case y'all missed it. This is for my people in the back. Basically what she's saying is, who can use law? People that are acting in their sovereign capacity, meaning we're sovereign, we can do what we want to do. We can be ourselves. We have the power to be ourselves. But what they've done is reduced the population out of their sovereign capacity, out of this, and made them join nation states. And they've joining corporations. So they reduced the population into merging into these so-called corporations, the ones that Abraham Lincoln was worried about, that these corporations would be enthroned, and then the money would be aggregated from the masses of people to a small few, to the controlling powers of the few. And so as they reduce you into from being a sovereign person, individual, and reduce you into joining a nation state, now they can issue not law, because the law of the land is the United States Constitution, which is also a Trojan horse document. We'll get into that another time. But they reduce you, that's the law of the land. So in order to circumvent that, they create these corporations and then get you to sign up to be a part of this corporation. Now they can issue, instead of law, they issue codes, ordinances, resolutions. When a code is not a law, an ordinance is not a law, our rules and regulations are not law. What are they? They're corporate policy. That's two different things. Let me explain what that means. Say you go into Walmart, right? As a customer. Now, you see the employees that work there. The employees that work there are governed by the rules and regulations of Walmart, right? Walmart has a dress code. Normally it's a polo shirt that's navy blue and tan pants that they must wear. It's a dress code. Now let me ask you this. Since you are a customer or a consumer, you're not an employee of Walmart, of that corporation. Are you obligated to, or are you bound to follow the rules and regulations, or do you have to give adherence to their dress code? Can't you wear what I'm wearing right now, this EPMD bucket style like hat? Could I wear that if I was an employee working on the time clock at Walmart? The answer to that is no. I can't wear this. They have to wear it. But since I'm a customer, do I have to adhere to their dress code? No. It's only if I was to go in there as a once upon a time customer, fill out an application that says I want to work for you and become an employee, and now you hire me And now I am responsible to keep up with the corporate policy. Oh my God, bro. This is some boy. This is what we call the Matrix, bro. And she described that 99% of mankind is living in slavery today through this scheme of reducing people from their sovereign capacity, and now joining nation states. Now they can issue statute and codes and things that are masquerading as law, but they're not law at all. They're simply corporate policy. They don't even really apply to you. But do they? Let's find out.
Codes, ordinances, resolutions on them. And a statute, as in a state statute of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, is not a law. It is corporate policy of the corporation that calls itself the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania Incorporated. All right? Now, a code is not a law. The United States codes, the code of the laws of the United States of America that are used in federal court and the Supreme Court, are not law. They are what they say they are. They are codes, ordinances, and resolutions of a municipality of the city of Philadelphia, which is a private nonprofit corporation that calls itself the City of Philadelphia. An ordinance and a resolution, as in parking ordinances, they are not law. They are what they say they are. They are ordinances and they are resolutions. All right? And the reason they are not law is because the only people who can issue law are people who are acting in their sovereign capacity. And the people who sit in these seats as elected officials are not, in fact, in their sovereign capacity.
Let me pause that for a second. Did y'all hear what she just said? She said these people that are acting in the capacity of elected officials, they are not, they're not acting in their sovereign capacity either. They're actually, they work for the corporation, much like the Tangiers, analogy or example, much like the Walmart example I just gave you. They're just like your supervisors. But guess what? They work for the company too. They're not free either. You know how you work at Walmart and you got a supervisor? Yeah, that's all they are. So when you get people like these elected officials, these politicians that you voting for every 4 years, your presidents, your mayors, your governors, your House of Representatives, your Senate, and all that, whether via Democrat or Republican, you're voting them in and trusting them when they don't have the power either. They're employees just like you. You understand what I'm saying? They just your supervisors. That's all. They're your supervisors. You know where they got this model from? Slavery. The enslavement of black people. And they got that all the way from Egypt. When Egypt enslaved black people, the children of Israel, the Hebrew Israelites, who we are, we were in captivity in ancient Egypt, and we're now in captivity in modern day Egypt. That's what's really going on, man. And now, hey, they're reducing everybody down to a Hebrew slave, down to an Israelite slave. Now, white people are experiencing MAGA fatigue because they're starting to feel like Negroes. Yeah, they starting to feel like a Hebrew slave, a Negro, an Israelite slave with no rights. Their rights are slowly being taken away. They're after your all of your amendments, your freedom of speech, freedom to assemble, freedom of the press, the Second Amendment. You know what I mean? The right to bear arms, and the reason why you would bear arms is if the government got out of pocket or became tyrannical and started being establishing tyranny within the land, and in their so-called laws, that's what the Second Amendment was for. They're circumventing that. By now, you need a license to bear arms. That they're already circumventing that amendment, the Second Amendment, because license means you got permission to do that which is unlawful. It's lawful under the Constitution for you to have the right to bear arms. But if you are an employee or a citizen or a slave, and you've been relegated or reduced from your sovereign capacity, and now you're a part of the nation state, now those constitutions don't apply to you, because just like me, just like if I was a customer, just like if you were a customer in Walmart, their laws don't apply to you. Their policies, their corporate policy don't apply to you. But if you sign on and start working for Walmart, now their policies apply to you. So you don't have no of the freedom. This is a satanic system. This is a satanic matrix. It's very satanic, very unholy, very wicked system we live in. It's crazy, man. But it's all based upon slavery, enslaving and the captivity of our people, even in ancient Egypt. We're now in modern day Egypt. Check this out.
Are people who are acting in their sovereign capacity. And the people who sit in these seats as elected officials are not, in fact, in their sovereign capacity. They are in a corporate ward status, meaning that they are wards of the state. They are members of the corporation, which is a nonprofit, that calls itself the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. And as long as they have a birth certificate on record with the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, with that birth certificate being a contract, the birth certificate is a contract. And as long as you have a contract with the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania Incorporated, you belong to them. And that's what slavery really is.
Man, that's some cold game, ain't it? How in the world did they put this together, man? This is a cold game, bro. This game is cold, bro. Let me tell you something. What she basically said is your birth certificate, your birth certificate, social security number is an adhesion, or your contract, or your job application that made you transition from your sovereign capacity to being a part of their, or employee of that corporation. That's what slavery really is. And everybody's caught up in it. That's why white people are experiencing MAGA fatigue and Trump fatigue, because it's rearing its ugly head and it's affecting them. They was living bountifully and beautifully in this country that their father stole and unalived people for. Listen, even because we're on somebody else's platform like YouTube, we have to abide by their rules and say unalive. We can't even say the real word no more. Why? Because we're on their platform and these are their rules. Do you have freedom of speech? No, no, you don't. I had a video talking about Charlie Kirk and what I think really went down. They shut that video down. It's out of here. Because I have to go along with the narrative of the story that they release. If you have any questions or you disagree, they'll shut your video down. I don't know if they'll shut this one down. But I have to do my job as the illuminator. I have to bring this information out to you. You know what I'm saying? So this is what it is. Your job application is a contract. It's basically, it's a, just like Bernie Mac told Jamie Foxx, I got a contract betwixt me and you that you do what I tell you to do. Therefore, don't speak to me, don't look at me. I tell you what, you better go on, get out here and get out of my face before you get swole. Head for horses, head for horses. Blue, let me tell you something. If I raise up, gonna be trouble. Trouble. Now walk it off. That's my favorite part in the Players Club. But let me tell you something, man. It's true. It's true. This is how you're entered and reduced from your sovereign capacity. When your mama sent you, got that birth certificate and gave you your ID tracking number, which is your social security number, you no longer, you became a ward of the state. The state of, anytime you see the word of in between something, that denotes a corporation. State of, not New York State, the state of New York. That's a company. And it always have an established. They established 1870 this or 18 this and that when it was establishing incorporations or corporations. Now we're going to really get to the nitty gritty of the whole thing, dealing with the president and dealing what's really going on. You know what I mean? We're going to bring it on home, and then I'm gonna close it on out, man. Let me RIP to the late great Jordan Maxwell. And the video is called Occult World of Commerce. Y'all go look at that. But let's hear his take on the power of the president, while y'all all caught up in the celebrity of Trump and Obama and Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. And I'm explaining to y'all why I never voted and why I never will vote. They're not elected. They're selected. Yeah, before I even let him go, you ever voted for the president of Walmart? Do you vote for do the employees of Walmart vote for the president of Walmart? Do the president of Walmart own Walmart? Or do the Waltons own it? Or do the people who loan the Waltons money own it? People that you ain't even ever heard of. But the question is, do you vote? Do you vote for the president of Walmart? President of Target? President of Amazon? President of all these Fortune 500 companies? What makes you think you're going to vote for the president of the United States? Let's find out what the United States really is. Come on.
And consequently, you need to understand that in one last point I'm going to make before I introduce your speaker, that in 1868 there was a corporation founded. Anyone can incorporate a company. Well, in 1868 there was a company incorporated. And in that particular company, the founders of that company they referred to it as the United States Corporation. And they stipulated that anybody who would be a member of that corporation or work for that corporation would be called not an employee, but a citizen. So today, if you are asked, are you a citizen of the United States? What you think you're being asked is, are you lawfully in this country to do business? That's not lawfully what's being asked. They didn't ask you if you were in America lawfully. They asked you a specific question. Are you, of your own volition, out of your own mouth, testifying that you are a citizen of the United States? Because in that way, citizen of the United States means you are an employee of a foreign corporation operating on the international maritime law. So today, the President of the United States is the president of a privately owned company. The company is called United States. And the word president is always a word that is used in corporate law. Banks have presidents. All companies have presidents. So there's a corporation called United States, privately owned, and it has a president. President Bush is not the president of America. President Bush is the president of a privately owned company. Privately owned, out of England. And you need to understand words and terms. Because I believe that there is a divine presence in the universe that men call God. And one day that divine presence is going to move on the earth and we're going to see freedom come back to this world. And when it does, you're going to need to understand words and terms and how they have been used to trick you.
And on that note, did you hear that? In 1863 or 1868, one of them, they established a corporation called the United States, just like they did with the Federal Reserve, and it's just as federal as Federal Express. They did the same thing with the United States. And now, since you're a citizen, that's equivalent to being an employee. President at that time, Bush, was not the president of America. He was the president of a privately owned company out of England. You know what I'm saying? Through maritime admiralty, law of the high seas. Listen, man, y'all already know, man. I'm here to illuminate your brain once again, man. Yay, man. Y'all have a blast past a while now and a greater later. Live the life of your design so you can have a good time for a lifetime. Live the life of his design so your life will be divine for the rest of your lifetime, man. R.I.P. to the late, great Jordan Maxwell. But, hey, now you know why I don't vote. And now you know that all of these politicians are selected. They're not elected. They work for a company called the United States Corporation, established in 1868 or 1863. You need to know that they're not elected officials. They're wards of the state. They're wards of the company. And on that note, man, y'all be blessed. I love y'all. Peace.